Hello and welcome to Bricks and Banner, the show with real talk from the custom LEGO community. I'm your host as always, Billy, and before we get started, I want to let you know that on our Instagram page, bricks_and_banter, there's a wrap-up post I put up after every episode that contains some images relating to the things we've discussed, so if you're feeling a little lost, make sure to check that out. Additionally, if you enjoyed this episode, it would mean a lot if you took the time to repost or share this episode's wrap-up post on your Instagram. That is currently the best way to support the pod, and it helps us get the word out there. With all that said, this week's guest is the new GOAT. You are sure to have seen some of his posts on Instagram, whether you follow him or not. His posts are just making the rounds and getting reposted by everybody. He is a designer for AV figures, and within the last year has become a modding menace. That's right, we're joined this episode by Angry Stash. We discussed how he transitioned into the military community from Star Wars, tips for decaling, how he got started designing for AV, and so much more. So with no further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Gideon. Real talk from the live from the streets. Brick by brick, piece by piece. Real talk from the live from the streets. Brick by brick, piece by piece. Real talk from the live from the streets. Brick by brick, by piece by piece. And we're here with Gideon, aka Angry Stash, aka Belligerent Bristles. You got too many names to go by. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I am a man of many names. How are you doing?
Yes. Doing well. Just confused. I almost thought it was belligerent bricks. So I went and double checked because I knew I was wrong. And belligerent bristles.
See, it's funny that you mention that because there was actually a period of time where I considered changing it to belligerent bricks. But then I looked and like every third Lego account, no,
It has
actually probably
bricks in the
probably every
name.
second
Yes.
Lego account has bricks in the name. I was like, you know what? We're gonna keep it a little more unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's certainly unique. Do a lot of people make the mistake in thinking it's bricks? Do they just assume they see a BR at the end of a Lego name and they're like, yeah, that's bricks?
I've never actually run into that before, but not many people ask about it, so
That's
it's
true.
an
Yeah.
unexplored subject.
That's true. Not many people are interviewing you, asking you for your 5-year plan and stuff like that. So,
That's true.
but that's what we plan to do today.
Obviously. I've got everything for the accounts planned out for the next 5 years. So,
Yeah, it's actually not bricks and banners. This is just a job interview.
yeah, I will now be working for Billy. Find me in his basement.
Among many others, but we don't got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Getting into you though, I mean, we've already talked about the name. How did you come up with belligerent bricks? Because bristles. See, it's a red. It's, I'm
You can't
genuinely
help it.
confused.
When it
I'm
comes to
genuinely
those
confused.
when it comes to those account names, just bricks, it just rolls off the tongue.
It really does.
The name, it has not a terribly long backstory, but it's definitely a backstory. So about 2013-ish, around that time, I played a lot of Team Fortress 2. That was like
Oh,
the
let's
only game that I
go.
played. Yeah,
Let's go.
legendary game. And at the time, I was very into the cosmetics in the game. You got to get
Of
some
course.
hats going.
Of course. You got to rock the gibbous a little bit.
Yeah, I was definitely a gibbous guy at first, and then I dabbled in some more hats. Eventually, got some unusuals, but
Very nice.
so the name came from, at the time, my Steam profile was all themed around Team Fortress 2 because that's all that I played. And my main class in the game was Soldier. So my cosmetic loadout for Soldier had this like ridiculous set of mutton chops, big, just
Yeah,
bushy white mutton chops.
as soon as you were talking about it, I could picture it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was that, and I was like, all right, what can I come up with that's like a catchy name that's themed around the Soldier, my loadout for him, everything. It'll go good with a profile picture. And I eventually ended up coming up with Belligerent Bristles because, Soldier's personality is pretty belligerent guy.
Of
He's
course. Of
pretty
course.
angry all the time. So that is the origin of Belligerent Bristles, my Steam profile name. Like, oh God, I don't even know how many. That was like 9 years ago now, 8,
Jeez.
quite a while ago. So yeah, that's where that came from. So,
So then, how did you come across the custom Lego community and get into that end of things?
well, I've had Lego in my life pretty much as long as I can remember. Um, And obviously, I went through the cycle of, you do it a lot when you're a kid, and then there's a dark age. There's a period of
Mhm,
time where you don't
mhm.
do it at all.
You had that
Uh, yeah,
textbook kind of phase, yep.
absolutely. That phase was actually pretty long for me. It was probably, I don't know, like almost 7, 8 years. I didn't really do much with Lego at all.
Mm.
But the thing that made me come back to it was I had a lot of time on break at work over the summer after one of my college semesters, and I ended up stumbling across a lot of Andrew Sommer's Flickr
Oh,
photos,
yeah.
along with a bunch of other builders that were on Flickr, like Star Wars builders and military builders.
Around what year was this?
This was like 3.5 years ago now,
Alright,
about.
cool.
Yeah. So I stumbled across a lot of that, and I kept looking at it, and I was like, man, this stuff's really cool. So that eventually led me to the decision to be like, all right, well, if I'm getting back into this, I'm gonna go big. So I went straight for the Millennium Falcon,
Oh my
but
lord.
there's a twist. I was like, all right, what if this doesn't stick? I don't want to have spent $800 on this. So I made the regrettable decision to buy the Lepin Millennium Falcon.
No way.
Yeah, $250. And it had
Okay.
like 98% of the pieces correct. I was actually pretty impressed.
Do you still have that built?
I do. It currently sits in a shelf in the closet of my old room at my parents' house. Because it is too big. It's literally too big to display anywhere. Like, unless you put it in a coffee table, there's just
Yeah.
no way. But yeah, it's still mostly intact.
You've gotta, like, kinda center your room around that.
Yeah,
It
it's
doesn't just c fit along with everything else you got going.
no, it definitely doesn't. Because I thought about bringing it to college with me. And,
That
I
would be
didn't,
a flex. That
I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, that would be fucking sweet if I had the Millennium Falcon in my college room. But there was not nearly enough space for that. I came back down to earth when I was packing the car to go back to school. I was like, "There's no way. This won't even fit in the car, much less in my room." So let's see. I got the Millennium Falcon, and shortly after that, I'd been looking at a lot of Star Wars stuff on Instagram because I had built the Millennium Falcon. And I was like, this is pretty cool. But I was getting into the world of custom Star Wars mocks, like mostly vehicle builds, is what I was looking at the time.
Yep.
And enough perusing around in that, and I eventually ran into AV Figures decals. So that was my gateway drug basically back into custom Lego because, I was trying to be a little money conscious of it at the time, and I was like, all right, I can buy like a $2 white blank figure and a $2 set of decals and a Clone Army Customs helmet, and I can put that all together and have a fig for like $8.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, as a younger kid, I'd always been really interested in getting Clone Army custom stuff. I thought it was so cool. But that was back when they only did decaled figures. So each figure would cost like $50. When I was a kid, I
Mm.
didn't have $50 to throw around. So I never ended up getting anything. So yeah, I came back to AV Figures. That was my re-entry into custom Lego.
So that's interesting. So you were aware of Clone Army Customs way back when before, like, your Dark Age?
Oh yeah. I was
Really?
aware of them all the way back in like 2008 probably was when I first heard
Wow,
of them.
okay.
Because that was when the first wave of Clone Wars sets was coming out.
Mhm.
So I was obsessed with Clone Wars. I was obsessed with all the Lego sets. So I inevitably ended up finding CAC's stuff because I wanted some cool custom clones.
Totally, yeah. I wonder
Yeah.
when they started. They must have been very close to when they just got into things.
Yeah, I don't know. They've been around for a long time.
He has been. Tyler's a homie. I've bought, like, maybe from him one time, but every time I see him at cons, we always get into a good chat. He's a good dude.
Yeah. He's really
Um,
he's really just kept it going. It's genuinely impressive. I found myself wondering because I hadn't
it
looked
doesn't
at the
say on the
website in
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't say on his site when, they got started. It's unfortunate.
yeah, I found myself wondering like I was wondering if CAC still existed because I remembered looking at it a long time ago, and I came back and it was all pad printed, and I was like, wow. So I did end up buying a few figs from them too at the time.
Yeah, and he just got a shop. I gotta get him on the pod. I don't know why I haven't thought of that yet.
Oh
I
yeah,
can write that down.
that would be awesome. He's a big community member,
Huge, huge friend of the pod.
absolutely massive friend of the pod.
All right, so you get into things, you start decaling. Was it just off the deep end after that? Like you had no control over your financial decisions, or were you it was slow going with the decals for a bit?
No, it was a definite off the deep end type of deal because I started out just doing a few designs here and there, decaling a few figures, and then as you get into it, it's like, okay, well, then you want to have every one of like the 501st Legion named clone troopers, which there's like I don't even know how many. There's like almost 20 of them. It's like, okay, so you got all that. And then yeah, I was spending a lot of money on decals
It's
and
kind of just hitting me now how dangerous it would be because you see how cheap the decals are, well, relatively cheap, and then you're like, yeah, I could totally make like 30 of these, and then
exactly.
yeah,
That
I never
was the
considered that before. Okay.
that was the problem. I mean, not really problem, but yeah, I bought many decals and I never even came close to doing all of them. All
Mm.
told, I think I decaled, I don't know, somewhere between like 60 and 70 figures over the last couple of years.
Hey, that's respectable. I can
Yeah,
hardly get through one, so you're doing good.
it was definitely a learning curve. But yeah, I dove straight in with that stuff and I was doing that for quite some time. The peak of that was probably like the spring to summer of 2020. I was living at home again because of quarantine. So
Hmm.
I'd come home from school and was doing all my courses online. So I had plenty of time to just, basically sit around and I would just do my classes and sit there and pump out like two or three decaled figures in a day. So that was definitely the peak of it.
Mm. You mentioned the learning curve. Do you have any tips for decaling? I'm honestly taking notes. I know.
Oh, dude, I have way too many tips. So the thing with it is there's a near infinite number of things you can do that incrementally make it like a tiny bit easier. But like
Okay,
really the base level stuff you need, all you really need is like a little shallow dish that you can put water for the decals in,
right.
a set of
Well, okay, does it have
tweezers.
to be shallow?
Okay, it doesn't even have to be shallow, but
Okay, okay.
I did actually have an anecdote about that. It's just like I was using like I don't know, just like a cereal bowl at first, and I found that I would get the decals stuck to the side of the bowl when I was trying to get them out all the time. So
Hmm.
it was a real pain. So that's why I specifically said shallow bowl.
Okay. Noted.
But yeah, so you need a bowl for water, and you need tweezers, and then the most important, arguably, part of it is you need like a makeup sponge, specifically a makeup
Oh, yeah,
sponge.
yeah, I have some of those, sure.
Yeah. So those are
Don't ask why.
your bare minimums. Oh, Billy, what do you have these makeup sponges for? But yeah, and I guess whatever your preferred method of cutting them is. I used to use an Exacto, but I found it easier to use scissors because I don't know. Don't ask why. It's just easier.
Alright, I'll take your
But
word
yeah,
for it.
that's the base level stuff, and then you can get into all sorts of things that make it easier. Like one of the first things I bought is a hole punch because the decals for the
Mhm.
back of the legs and then the two side torsos, you have to punch a hole in those, and it's way easier if you have like a leather hole punch that's adjustable instead of having to jankily try to cut a circle out with your Exacto
Yo,
blade.
that is huge. I might actually see when I would like mod cloth, I would try and just I mean, I don't have a single hole in any of the homemade cloths I've made. It is just like jagged box cuts
Yeah,
with the
it's just like
X-Acto. It's like just enough to slide the arm through.
a
I
strange trapezoid shape.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah. It's just incredibly scuffed. I definitely should buy a hole punch.
yeah, it's definitely a major quality of life upgrade, I would say, honestly.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's one thing. I ended up buying like it was an electric nail file, so basically like a baby Dremel because When you're
Oh,
decaling,
wow.
you need to carve the hips so that you can move the legs. Because if you don't, the decal will just
Right, right.
scrape off because there's no area between the leg and the hip piece. So I used to do that using like a Citadel mold line remover because that's what Andrew, AV Andrew Vu, and everyone else who was decaling said to use at the time, and it works, but it's kind of a pain. So
I just had to do it recently, and I just used a razor blade, and it's hell.
yeah, I
Um,
used to do it using an Exacto, and it just was like I
yeah,
would
that's what I
break
would
so
have.
many blades.
No, it's rough.
Yeah,
It's cool
that's
that he made those hips. I haven't ordered any yet, but
it. Really is. I haven't actually gotten my hands on them yet either, but I've been slacking off in the decal department lately. You know, it's all right.
well, we'll get into that. We'll get into the reasons why. Um, did you ever do commissions for the decaling? Because I know that's a huge kind of thing in that scene.
See, I from the very beginning, like from the first figure I did, I was like, all right, well, I'm never doing this as a commission because it's a very time consuming process.
Hmm.
And I had another job at the time, so I didn't really need the money from it. And I wanted to just be doing it for myself. I always was making the decal figs specifically to put in my display case so I could look at them. And, I'd post them too so other people could look at them. But I was making them because I thought it was cool. And I thought what I was making was a good piece to have on display. So I knew that I never wanted to do commissions for it because I would just get burned out too quickly. It just wasn't worth it to me. I could tell that it would burn me out way too fast if I started doing it for other people,
Yeah, no, the burnout is real.
especially because it's kind of like when you're doing it for you and then maybe you end up selling it later. At least it was something that when you started doing it, you were interested in it.
Hmm.
But with decal commissions, it's like, okay, what if somebody commissions me to do a bunch of figures that I don't even like this design of Clone Troop or whatever, and then you're just kind of stuck doing something that you don't really want to be doing for a while, which contributes to the burnout even more. So, yeah, I don't know that I'd say an exception, but I told myself from the very beginning, I was like, no, we're not going to commission these. Sorry,
Yeah,
pal.
yeah, no, good for you. It sounds. I mean, I did the commissions for Brick Arms mods, and even that got to the point. It's like, yeah, this is too much.
It's just a lot of work because you don't always feel in that creative mood, and then if you
Hmm.
do, and then you're trying to make something that you don't really care about yourself, it's hard to make yourself do it.
Yeah,
It's hard to want to do it.
and it takes away from the juice of actually making something good that you could have been making for yourself and
Exactly.
innovating and whatnot.
Forging new paths.
Although now seeing this electric nail files got me tempted because it would totally make the process of doing commissions so much quicker. Because the way I would do them, I would drill out all the scope points and stuff so that they or any attachment point and pin it and then glue it just so that it won't break off for the people like that receive it.
Right.
Um, and just having to sit there and drill is almost the sole reason I stopped doing it.
Oh my god, yeah, that sounds incredibly tedious.
So with this, because I have a Dremel, but it's not steady enough to be doing brick arms with.
Oh, no way.
Anyway, this is a little too tempting. I can't get back into doing commissions. I have too many other things now.
See, I never, at least up to this point, I have not pinned a mod yet because
Really?
I just I don't know. It's just like I have a pin vise, like I have the tools to do it.
Yeah.
But I just find myself sitting there and looking at it and being like, I don't know how I'm gonna get this to line up. Like when I made that figure that's on my Angry Stash account that has like the ballistic mask and the hair. It
Hmm.
was inspired by one of your old posts. When I made that, the mask is actually made from a black Lego head because I didn't have like a CB mask available. So I
Oh, really? Yeah, okay.
cut the head in half and shaved it way down, and then I drilled out the eyes with the pin vise. But it was so hard to get it to actually go where I wanted. So every time that I've thought about doing it on a brick arms, I'm just like, dude, it's just gonna go straight through the side of it. I feel like I don't know. You might have to teach me your ways, Billy.
I mean, it's definitely a learning curve. I think you're overestimating how difficult it is. I'm sure you'd be able to get to it. Um, but yeah, banging out commissions after one after another, being able to line them up is it's not terrible for me anymore, but it's still like, why do I want to do this? I've reverted back. I've rejected modernity. I just start gluing all my mods now. I'm so lazy. I'm far too lazy to do it for my own anymore. It's just
That
totally killed
is
it.
same situation with mine, although I never went through the commission pinning phase. Mine are all just super glued together. Results in plenty of mods that only look good from the side you see them in the picture on
Oh,
my
for sure.
profile.
Dude, that's the way to do it. Anybody who says they have a perfect mod on both sides is lying to you. I mean, except Tanner. Except Tanner.
Obviously, he's the exception.
He is the only exception.
He cannot miss. One shot, one kill with Tanner.
All right. I mean, we're already talking military. We might as well get into it.
We might as
What
well, dude.
you mentioned that what kind of got you out of the dark age? You started seeing Andrew Summer stuff, which is obviously military, and some other stuff in that kind of scene. While you were getting into the decaling, were you still did you still have a little bit of an affinity for the military side, or you kind of forgot about that?
No, I was still interested in that at the same time. And I had been following, like, I found your account. I found all sorts of accounts that are big in the community, like a lot of the guys that are in the group chat.
A lot of the boys.
Yeah, the boys. I had started following a lot of, fig posting and also like more like modern themed vehicle builders. There aren't that many of those, but there's a few.
Mm,
I'd started following a lot of those type of accounts on my Star Wars belligerent bristles account because it intrigued me. But it took me all the way until like I don't know, it was like March or a little earlier of last year until I finally was like, all right, you know what? I think I should try my hand at this because I was kind of getting burnt out on decaling at the time,
mm.
but I still wanted to be doing something with Lego. So I pulled the trigger. I made a CB order and an Eclipse graphics order, and here
Right
we
off
are
the deep
today.
end yet again.
Yeah, it really was. I was like a lot of my inspo came from James,
Oh, for
Commander
sure.
James
Yeah.
Lego, because I'd started talking to him a lot about AV stuff because I'd sold some to him and we become great friends now. But I'd been looking through his page a lot of the time, and I was like, man, I wanna try doing this shit. It looks cool.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, straight off the deep end, straight into the brick arms and Eclipse graphics and Citizen Brick. Oh, and here we are today.
Is it safe to say that military is pretty much the main squeeze now? You kind
It
of
is, yeah.
fallen out of love with the your old decaling ways.
It's okay. So part of that is a lot of the fun part of decaling for me after a while was the creative process of like splicing a figure together. So
Mm. Hmm.
I'd be creating my own clone design using what was already available to me, and that was really fun. I like doing that a lot. Um, so what partially contributed to it is when I started designing decals for AV, it kind of took that slot of like the creative freedom in making clone troopers. I could just make whatever I wanted on the
Right.
screen and then have it made as an actual decal. So
Maybe
yeah.
maybe we jumped the gun. There's still more Star Wars to talk about, especially with you linking up with AV.
Oh,
Um,
there's always more Star Wars to talk about, man.
yeah, let's go back to that. So, as you just mentioned, you've been working with Andrew designing some decals. How did you first get in touch with Andrew and then develop this relationship to start working with him?
So it started out as a I don't know, somewhere deep in my decaling spree, I decided to myself that I wanted to have my own custom clone trooper legion because a lot of people were doing that at the time. They'd get a commission from Andrew and
Mm.
they'd get official AV figures decals with their design on them.
Oh, that's
And
kind of
I
neat.
thought that
Okay.
was super cool. Yeah. So I wanted to make my own version of that. And so I ended up reaching out to Lego AR8 Productions, who worked for AV at the time, and he still does now, because I had heard just through word of mouth in the community that he was the guy to talk to if you were trying to get a commission with Andrew. So I reached out to him and I asked him about it, and he basically told me that they weren't doing it right now. But we talked for a while, and then our conversation kind of went quiet for like months. And then I ended up reaching out to him again about something else, and I can't remember what. And he eventually ended up asking me if I had any graphic design experience, which, I did, but pretty limited. Just I had taken some classes in high school about it, and I like to dabble around in Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop sometimes. But I had the basic skills, I would say, at the time. So essentially, what ended up happening is I got asked if I wanted to work for AV as a designer. And once I had, done some designs for the company and what they needed me to do after a while, I could just design my own custom Legion and I wouldn't need to commission it from them. I could just make it myself.
Oh, that's awesome how it kind of just fell into your lap like that. Just
I know, I felt very lucky about it. It was definitely a bit of a process though. There's plenty of time
oh, I know, I'm
between the
sure.
moving parts happening.
Oh, I'm sure. Especially, I mean, just having the basic skills, but now trying to apply it into the Lego format must be difficult as well.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. The skill set that you need to do to design clone decals is definitely it's not difficult because you're mostly just working with solid blocks of color,
Mm,
but the things that you have to take into account are like, okay, how are you going to make your design that you're doing, like if it wraps around from the front of the torso to the side to the back, how are you going to make sure that lines up? How are you going to make sure it lines up if it wraps around the legs, that type of thing. um, but yeah, I've found it to be a very fun thing to do. Funnily enough, I still to this day have not actually designed that custom clone legion of my own. I just never did it, but it's on the list. It'll happen. It'll happen at
eventually,
some point.
eventually.
AV fans, keep your eyes out for the belligerent bristles legion. Who knows when that'll happen, but it's on the
So
list.
I never knew that people were getting commissions of their own Legion from AV. It sounds very reminiscent of people getting their own commissions from Citizen Brick. Is there a bit of a large resale market when it comes to that sort of thing, where people are selling their decals to their homies and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, it's the aftermarket for AV products is it's not directly comparable to CB, but it's similar in some
It's up
ways.
there, yeah.
It's mainly anything that's like a numbered exclusive used to go for a ton of money, and a lot of them still do now. It's a little less of a frenzy these days just because we've more consistently put out more exclusive products. So,
Hmm.
you know, each one individually might not be quite as valuable. But yeah, the biggest one for a long time was Commander Doom. He's a clone trooper that shows up in like 2 episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Uh, for some reason, fan favorite. Everyone loves his design.
For sure.
So, as a company, we started doing the season passes, which it started out as just a bunch of normal designs that we would just change the primary color to like a color fitting for the seasons. Like the first two were like an autumn pass and then a winter pass, and the autumn one was just dark orange was the main color, and then the winter one was like light like azure blue.
Mm.
But people absolutely loved the recolored Commander Doom, even though it was just it's just a different color. So those were all the resale
This really
craze
just
for a
sounds
long
like
time.
Citizen Brick, man.
It is. It's very similar in a lot of ways. It's like, oh, this thing's misprinted on a different color. Monkey noises intensify. Like, oh my god, I need it. I need it. But yeah,
How much
that
were those
was
season passes?
they were their prices varied over time. Usually, I don't even remember what the original ones were. Probably between like 40 and $50, I think.
Okay.
And you would get like, I don't know, 8 to 10 to 12 sometimes seasonal designs. Sometimes it'd be more expensive depending on if the designs came with cloth, like
Mhm.
waist capes,
Mhm. Mhm.
pauldrons, stuff like that, because that stuff's more expensive to produce too. But yeah, there was and still is a pretty massive resale market for limited AV stuff. Now, the normal decals that you can still buy on the website, just no resale value at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, why would you buy it from someone else if you could just go there? The printed figures had their heyday of being a very highly desirable aftermarket purchase too. And it used to be more than it is now because for a while our printing capabilities were pretty, you know, it was just we weren't releasing as much. So when something did get released, it would sell out like instantly. And then people would be scrambling to get it on the aftermarket for a
Yeah.
much higher price just because they wanted to get their hands on that design. And due to how our operations were at the time, it was just like once something dropped, there was no guarantee if or when it would ever be restocked. So it's like
Mhm. Mhm.
it was always like a supreme drop almost every time new printed figs came out.
Yeah, that is wild.
Yeah.
I kind of found out about like the craze of AV like way too late. Not that I necessarily would have gotten involved trying to scam kids and resell it, but um, I was just
Obviously.
surprised to see to learn in hindsight all the stuff that was going on with it, especially like the season passes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that's been going on with that.
It was absolutely insane. I never really got into the exclusive designs and resale market myself because at the time I was making a lot of figures. I was mostly focused on making stuff that either was like a Star Wars canon design that we saw on the screen somewhere, or making my own stuff, but stuff that I thought would fit in with the universe, like didn't look too outlandish. So stuff like recolors of clones that already existed never really interested me that much. But I
Mm.
look back now and I'm like kicking myself because I'm like, oh my god, the amount of money I could have made off of it is obscene,
The
dude.
amount of CB I could have bought if I sold that.
Oh man, yeah. It's a little bit painful, but we take what we can get. It's all right.
Such is life. Such is life.
Yeah,
I still got to get Andrew on one
I know
day.
he's
One
he's
day.
a busy man. He
I
can be
know he's
hard
a
to
busy
reach.
boy. He's a busy boy. It's all good.
Right now, he's hyping up for the February 5th AV Day release. There's a lot of new stuff coming out then, so he's a very busy boy right now.
Awesome. A lot of your
Yeah,
designs.
yeah. None of my. Oh, actually, I guess one of my original designs. I made a 1 out of 1 design for an auction that we're doing. So there's like 6 unique clones that are being auctioned off that Andrew decaled himself.
Oh, that's really cool.
So each of the designers, we just made a unique design, and it's pretty cool. That's always a fun project. And then the other stuff that's coming out is there's a whole 18th Defense Battalion, which is like obviously if you're not a massive clone nerd, that just sounds like one of the ones that already exists.
Yeah.
But there's an Instagram account called the Celestin. I don't know how you pronounce it, but they make absolutely amazing 6-inch clone figures, like either the Bandai kits or the
Okay,
Black
sure.
Series figures. And they made a series of clones that are all like in a unit together that are called the 18th Defense Battalion. They're super loud colors. They're like bright green and yellow, super cool designs. So that was something I wanted to make on the Lego template for quite some time,
Mhm.
and it's finally gotten around to happening. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah. And that was rather cool. It kind of reminded me of this was the those night sort of designs
Oh
that they
yeah,
created recently, which was in collaboration with an artist on Instagram. Those
yeah.
were super cool.
Jake Bartok, his clone knights. Those are just they're absolutely amazing. I don't know how he came up with that stuff, but
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
super
those
impressive to
designs
me.
are just flawless.
Yeah. I do kind of want to get some of those going on in the collection. We'll have to see.
Are they still in stock?
Oh yeah. So
All right, sweet.
Most of the time, we haven't printed any of those like UV printed, but all of the decals whenever we release, uh, we usually release evergreen decals. So it's just stuff that'll always be on the website.
Okay.
So those are one of those products. They'll just be on there forever.
Sweet. Sweet.
Yeah, pretty good.
All right. I think we can get back into military now.
Yeah, we can finish up our little Star Wars tangent here. It's been a
Yeah.
lengthy one, but that's
A
okay.
little bit. A little bit. So you got into military, kind of just winging it. Um, did you seek out any specific inspiration when you first started, or just you're going for it?
My my major inspiration at the beginning was primarily stuff that had been posted on other people's accounts. So like
Mhm.
James is a big inspiration. Your account was at the beginning. I mean, still now to this day, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, at the
Like,
beginning, damn, bro.
okay, yeah. No, I think I've outclassed you. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm just
honestly
fucking with you.
factual. Honestly factual.
No, no.
Brandon put in one of the questions. He's just like, ask him why he's God, and it's just like, I bet. There we go.
I'm about to develop a complex out here if you're all leaving such nice comments under every post. You gotta
Kanye of the Lego game
put me
over
in my
here.
place sometime. But yeah, a lot of the inspo came from other military accounts that I would see, and I'd always be finding new ones because there's, it's a pretty big community.
Mhm.
So that was where a lot of the initial inspo came from. I would find like a color combo or like like a helmet or something that somebody else had done, and I'd be like, all right, let me see how I can do my take on this. Because at the beginning, I had a pretty limited parts pool. I had like a couple Eclipse graphics balaclavas, a couple like brick arms vests, and like a couple minifig cat helmets and a few brick arms rifles, and that was about it. But obviously, that changed pretty quickly as I got into it more.
Right. Yeah, I certainly kind of started the same way all the way back then, where it wasn't really actually searching for inspo outside of the community. It was kind of very insular and just working off what parts already existed that I owned and kind of the vibes or themes that were present in the with other creators. So,
Yeah, that was the major inspo at the beginning. Oh, Tactical Chad Boogaloo,
oh my gosh,
always been major inspo.
goat,
The
goat.
just absolute greatest of all time. The color combos, they're just off the charts.
I don't understand how he can make what on the outside looks like the same exact figure every time, except it doesn't. It's never the same figure every time.
It's there's literally never two
It's
pieces the
impossible.
same.
It's
It's insane.
impossible. Such a consistent style, but such consistent innovation as well on the figures. It's unbelievable.
It blows my mind, dude. Seriously.
It
He's
same sort of compliment could be paid to Satomi. It's just
absolutely.
like
Dude,
on
his
the outside, it's
stuff,
like, oh, another Halo dude, and then it's like, no, wait a minute, like, what is this? What
he
did he
was
do this time?
it's just insane. Like that scope that he put on the bullpup rifle mod
Oh,
he
yo,
posted the other day.
hard.
I don't even know where that came from. Like usually when I look at a mod, I feel like I can pretty easily determine like
I
what
think
parts
that was
came
on
from what
a
brick arms.
I think it was on a Star Wars sniper rifle or something,
Okay, that would make sense. It's
but it
just
looks
that was
so good with
absolutely
that. And
insane.
the android leg, forget about it,
Yeah,
dude.
that was absolutely bonkers. So his stuff, when I first was getting into this, it was when he was still posting like modern military mostly. He
Mm.
had like just started getting into the Spartans and the like the TAC ODSTs. So he was a major inspiration at the beginning as well. He was the first one that I had seen personally that like took little cloth bits and cut them and like glued them onto helmets to make like
Oh,
Velcro
yeah, yeah,
padding.
yeah.
I thought that was amazing. So that's something I steal from him pretty regularly now. But yeah, the beginning inspo was pretty insular, I would say.
Mhm.
Pretty contained in the community.
So at this point, do you try and, reach out and find some stuff outside in the real world or, like, concept art stuff?
Yeah, I was actually just doing some of that today. A lot of it comes from video games and character models.
Mm.
Like my big thing for the last several months now has been Battlefield 4 because I don't know, something about the player models in that game just speaks to me. I just think they're so cool.
They never get old, really.
They just don't. The game is what, like 8, almost 9 years old now, It still plays well. I've been playing that game
Still
a
better
lot
than the
too.
new Battlefield.
I know, and it pains me to say it because I was so excited for it, but it's got too many problems.
I didn't even buy the new one. Um, Alex, California Compliant, bought it.
Oh
He's
yeah,
like, "Dog, I'm returning this shit. This is so bad."
dude, it was my girlfriend bought it for me for my birthday present for like a pre-order because I was telling her I was so hyped about it, and I was
Yeah.
like, "This is awesome." I was so hyped. And when it came out, I wasn't like immediately disappointed, but I was like, you know, I played it for a few weeks and I was like,
Mhm.
all right, I feel like I've seen what there is to see until they add more content. Ugh,
Have
man.
they added more content?
No, dude, they keep delaying it down the line, just kicking the can
What a
along.
surprise.
It's so disappointing. So yeah, I've been playing Battlefield 4, so that's been a major inspiration. But that, along with like plenty of other video games, like recently I've kind of been on that Modern Warfare 2 remastered wave. I'm getting a ton of inspo from that game. I also just end up like, I don't really have a coordinated way of doing it. I'll just kind of randomly sit down and I'll like think of something and I'll be like, all right, I'm just going to search up pictures of this on Google and just like
Mm,
save all the ones that look interesting to me. And then eventually I'll just be scrolling back through my camera roll at some point and something will catch my eye and I'll be like, all right, that's what we're making today.
that's cool.
Phineas and
Yo,
Ferb style.
so what?
It's like the classic, hey Ferb, what are we gonna do today?
Oh, okay, yeah, I got you. I got you now. I'm with it.
Major inspo. No, I'm kidding. But Phineas and Ferb, don't at me. That show is goaded.
I never really
Absolute
watched it much
banger.
growing up. I would see it here and there.
Dude, it's I would
SpongeBob
even
though?
still watch it now.
SpongeBob though? Timeless.
SpongeBob, it truly is timeless. See,
Dude,
SpongeBob was the show that I was not allowed to watch growing up.
I hear that from so many people I know, and it's so disappointing. It's actually a core function of my personality. I
It
think I
was
should.
like SpongeBob was like the treat show. Like I would go over to a
Mm,
buddy's house and
mm,
he was allowed to watch SpongeBob. So that was where all of the SpongeBob content was consumed and
for
I always looked
sure.
forward to it. I was like, this is gonna be amazing.
Mine was like, Ed, Ed, and Eddie. That one, my
Oh,
parents were like, "Oh, no, this is retarded, you're not watching this." And so that
this
one,
is just
like,
not permitted. This is not gonna
this
enter your
this is
brain.
not cool. And I don't think I've even watched enough to say definitively if it was that good, but I just remember that was, like, actual crack as a kid. Like,
Oh yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I watched it one time and I snorted milk out of my nose because I was drinking while, like, watching it, and something came up and I just legit, like, milk out my nose onto the carpet. It was a wild time.
See, that's how you know it's good.
Hey,
Milk out the nose onto the carpet
shout
means a
out
good time.
shout out to Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Big fans of the pod.
Big friend of the pod, Ed, Ed, and Eddie, all three of them.
Dude, I don't know where we were, but
Oh, we've gone solidly into the banter section of the podcast, dude. It's
absolutely.
it's off the rails, but that's okay. No, we were talking about inspiration.
Oh, right, of course.
Yeah, so my
Yes.
camera roll, it's filled with random pictures of like Russian special forces,
Can't get enough
random
Russians.
rifle setups, and like pictures of my cat, and that's like most of it.
Big inspiration. Big
Yeah,
inspiration. Keeps you
big inspo
motivated.
from the cat.
Have you gotten many, inspo slumps where you're just totally dried out on something?
I have been feeling lately like, oh my god, I keep wanting to make AR-15 mods, but
Okay.
honestly, I just feel like they're so overplayed that like I can't force myself to make it. So I'm sitting here like struggling. I'm like, all right, what am I gonna make instead? Because I keep on just having only this inspo to make this AR mod, and I don't want to do it out of the principle. Because I posted like three of them in a row recently. I was like, we can't keep doing this. We can't, man.
Dude,
But
I'm dying to get, my order from Clips Graphics in because he finally posted the Wickeds.
oh my
I
god,
need
dude,
those rails, dude. I'm so bricked up for those. I need it.
dude, I really hope that becomes a production item because $3 every time,
Oh, dog.
oh, it
Listen.
stings. The wallet cries a little bit. But yeah, I got a few of those in hand. I had to cop them from Brickmania because they're
Couldn't
always the
wait.
guys that get them
Couldn't wait.
first.
Yeah.
No, I was trying to get it in time for Tarkov month, and I did
Oh,
succeed.
damn.
I used the whole front rail to make a mutant, and that worked pretty well.
Yeah,
CMMG
that thing came
mutant.
out crazy.
Yeah. That whole fig was a mad dash because I thought I had until the 31st. Because I
Oh, right, I
literally had
remember that. Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
I had just looked at the group chat when we talked about it and then never followed up on it ever. So the Brickmania order came in like the day or two before, and I was like, "Oh, great! I have like a week to make a mod and a fig for this." And then I
No.
don't remember who it was. Somebody comes in the chat and they're like, "All right, I can't wait to see everyone's Tarkov posts tonight." And I was like, "What? Excuse me?" So yeah, that was a quick mod, but it turned out pretty good.
That Sega recently is really clean too.
Yeah, that was a that was an interesting one to make. I don't even remember how I came about the idea to do that. It was I partially am motivated to make stuff that I haven't seen other people make before,
Mhm.
just because I like to try to keep it fresh. So I'd seen people do versions of the Sega before, but they were all the version that has the big drum mag. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna take it upon myself to make the Sega that just has the normal like 5 round box mag. And I think the up or the backwards and chops FAL mag worked pretty well for it.
Yeah. Yeah, surprisingly so.
Yeah, that one was it was actually kind of a pain because the upper half of the handguard is like it's made out of the upper half of the TAC FAL handguard. And so, I cut it and it's not
Oh, and the
even, and I
bottom's
cut it and it's
MP7?
not even. Yeah,
Oh, geez, I don't know
so I
why I didn't
like
realize that. Like, I knew something was a little bit, like, fresh about the barrel, but I couldn't pin it. That's really sick.
I was gonna just slap the M27 front on there, but I was like, no, it's not chunky enough. It just doesn't work for the Sega 12. So yeah, that top half is the TAC FAL handguard, like chopped in half and then sanded and chopped
Yeah,
and
no, I could see it. Big respect to that. I didn't even notice in a way, which I know kinda sucks because it's like, man, all this effort for nothing, but I mean, that's kind of also the biggest compliment because it was just
Yeah,
real
if it
clean.
turns out well enough that people don't necessarily know what you did, I think you're
Yeah,
doing something right.
absolutely.
I appreciate the clean mods out there.
Shout out all the boys with clean mods who don't use, Snapchat to cover up the flaws in it. I'm looking at you,
Yeah,
Alex.
who would ever do that? Definitely not Alex.
Definitely not short people.
Definitely not anybody who's super short. uh, no, I actually Jackson turned me on to this. I think
Oh,
it's called
Jackson turns me on all the
Snapseed.
time.
Yeah, how can he not?
I I I
Muscly
I
monkey
turned
man.
him let me clarify things. I put him onto Snapseed. Okay, let me set the record straight.
Billy is the original Snapseed man. You heard it here first,
I be
folks.
snapping. I be
He
snapping.
he also told me about Sketchbook.
Oh, I
Have you
don't know
used
about
that
that
one
one.
before?
Oh, no, see, this is one that him and Sam Fisk gatekeeped me on. They're like, "Yeah, we got this app we use to edit our pics, and we just do it l
And
like" but
we
but, like, they said it, they were like, "This is like what Alex does, where he's like paints the pixels, but it's actually good and nobody knows that we're cheating." And he's like but they're like, "We're not gonna tell you though." It's like, "Alright."
Okay, thanks guys. Yeah, he put me on to Sketchbook is what it's called, and I literally just use it for that. I go in and you can zoom like super far in, and like I drop the exact color that's next to what you want to paint over.
Mhm.
So the sticky tack that I use is blue. It's not the
Yep,
white stuff. It's the
yep.
bright blue one.
I noticed that. I was been scrolling on some of your older posts, and I saw a little bit of blue
Yeah, some of it's
sneaking out.
bleeding out there. So there have been a few posts where I get like the perfect shot, and then as I'm editing the picture after,
Mm,
I notice just this big old slab of blue in there. So
very irritating,
Sketchbook comes in clutch occasionally.
for sure.
Yeah.
The way I might have to try that out next time when I do it. Um, I've been finagling it on Snapseed to get rid of any Stecky Tack that gets shown. I'll, like, desaturate the area, then, make it super dark, um,
Hmm.
and then
So you
There's
just
like,
can't tell.
dude, it's really bad. It's so ghetto the way I do. I'm trying to figure out what this other feature is. I'm gonna check it. Um, it's like the oh shoot, healing is it's called,
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking
dude.
about.
And I'll just like tap it just a little bit, and it like kind of blurs everything, fixes everything up.
You can't tell anything went
Nobody's
on.
called me out yet, but dude, it's such a hassle. It's such a hassle.
Dude, that Tarkov post I made, oh my god, that post went through like 12 rounds of editing because it was just taken like in the kitchen with the overhead light because I finished it at like midnight, so I couldn't go take a picture
Oh, now
outside.
yo, that totally makes sense because you could just see how, like, how blurred out it is.
Yeah, dude, it's so blurry. So I went through like 5 rounds of editing and I got it to where I thought was like a good point. And then I realized that like the right hand holding the gun and like the torso, for
Oh
whatever
god, I
reason,
could
just
see it
because of
now
like
too.
just because of weird lighting, they were like so much lighter. So I went in with like the smudge darken tool, whatever it's
Yeah,
called,
yeah, yeah.
and I just like drew over it. And I was like, nobody'll notice. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Hey, and in all fairness, once it gets posted to Instagram and they screw up its quality and then you're looking at it on a phone, I didn't notice until now.
Exactly. Instagram just, condenses it all down to a convenient little like 4 pixels for you.
Yeah, it blurs it for you. It's fixing all of our mods single-handedly.
Thank you so much, Instagram. Really looking out for
Big
us.
shout out.
Friend of the pod, Instagram.
Thanks to our sponsor this episode, Instagram.
That's right. We are now officially sponsored. You heard it here first.
All right. So, with all that said, what's been your most difficult mod? Everybody wants to know.
The most difficult mod. Okay. I gotta actually think about this for a second.
You can take your time.
But
I'll blur out the silence.
I honestly think the most difficult one might have been the AEK that I did with the Russian Battlefield 4 assault, the AEK 971. It doesn't look like it's complicated, and
Is that the one with the snow guy? Like in the
no,
snow?
it's I'll send it to you.
All right.
It's that one actually was pretty tough too.
Yeah, no,
The
I'm
the
looking
s-
at that
the
now.
snow one.
I, yeah.
That's a RK62, I think. It's like the Finnish
Yeah, you're
AK.
right. You're right. You're right.
But the AEK 971, it doesn't look like that complicated of a mod, and it's not really. But in order to make it work, I had to line up like the back of the APOC AK barrels with like, the barrel and the gas tube. I had to line
Oh,
that up with the front of the AK-12 barrel,
that is painful.
and it just did not want to stick.
Dude, that is
Like
painful.
I literally probably had to glue it. I don't even know, like 20 times I tried to glue it probably, and it just like it would be lined up wrong or it wouldn't stick because like if you get the residue on there, you have to
Mhm.
scrape it off because it doesn't
Mhm.
adhere. Oh my god, that mod was incredibly painful.
I tried to do way back before we were blessed by Will to have production double barrel shotguns.
Oh,
I tried to make a double barrel shotgun like maybe 3 years ago, and ever since then I've just sworn I will never glue barrel to barrel. I will do everything else. I'll like I'll use tubing or anything else to make the barrel. I will never glue barrel to barrel. It's such a pain.
it just isn't gonna happen. Never.
Yeah.
Another tough one was that like retro M4 car 15 that I posted like last week,
Oh yeah, yep.
the carry handle enthusiast.
Yep.
I was heavily inspired by the one Alex did, and also just like uh, what is it, Black Hawk Down in general.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, pretty straightforward mod. You just need to cut off the stock and the handguard and put it back together. What I didn't account for is like usually when you're gluing, if you're doing like an AR-15 or like an M4 pattern, you have like the railed or like flat upper receiver, so you can like figure out where the handguard's supposed to go. But
Right.
with this, you don't have that because it's round. So I had to I had to try so many times to get it lined up so it wasn't like slightly too high, slightly
Mhm.
too low,
Mhm.
and then it wasn't sticking. Oh my god. I'm showing my fault of not wanting
Dude,
to pin
I
anything
was
ever
just gonna
right now.
say I'm like, "Hey, if you pin this,
Never will happen again, right?
you just gotta make sure that, it's actually lined up, and then when it's not lined up and now you have a hole in each end and you can't really fix it, and then you end up gluing it anyways, and now it's less sturdy because there's less surface area for the glue, and then you just kinda cry. Um,
But it's pinned. It's
but
pinned. It's pinned, damn it.
whatever works,
Maybe
we
someday
making it work.
I'll be convinced to make a pinned mod. We'll see.
One day we're gonna take
Blasphemy.
your pinning virginity.
That's right.
Alright. You ready to go to Copper Drop?
Yeah, I'm down.
Awesome. Alright, and we're here. We've made it to the end. It's Copper Drop time. First figure up is from Brickmania. Shout out to Lando designing these. The Viet Cong figures. There's two versions, male and female. Side note, I think one of my most liked comments I've ever made on Instagram is on that post, and I was complaining about the female figure not having printed toes, and I don't know how that should make me feel, but I think I'm quite proud.
Yeah, I think you should be proud of that. I would say these would be a cop. I actually tried to cop the female one because I wanted that sick boonie hat with the hair attached.
Hmm.
Um, kind of glad that that would have been the one that didn't have the toes on it. Sorry, Billy. I'm not sure if I have your taste for Lego toes quite
See,
as much, but
here's the thing. I would have copped, but I would have had to get both so I could have put the toes on the female version, you know what I mean? And
just set
then it's
things
too
right.
expensive. Then it's just too
Yeah,
expensive.
that would have set things right in the universe. But yeah, it sold out before I could cop. But I've been loving the newer, like the thinner lines art style that
Yeah,
Lando's been doing lately, and
he's been on a new wave. It's been incredible.
the 3D printed accessories are always on point from Brickmania.
Mhm.
So those it would have been a cop, but I didn't really want Toe Man, and the lady was already sold out, so
Unfortunate.
that's an L for me.
I feel like the thing that always happens with me is if I ever do consider purchasing a Brickmania figure, I miss the release and they're never in stock after 20 minutes. So it's
I
just like,
know
all right, cool. I'll just never get this one.
they sell out so quick, dude.
It is
Greatest
surprising.
regret.
I'm curious how many figures they make per batch
I don't
because
know. I wanted to get that the Russian VDV fig they came out with, but I
oh, the
took
green
way
boy.
too long. Yeah, the green
I
boy.
have one if you want it. I will
All right,
sell
all
it.
right. We'll talk later.
I have no dude, I got it and it's so bright green. I'm like, dog, I can't use this for anything.
I know that's what made me on the fence about it because I literally deliberated over it for like days because they were still in stock for a while.
Mm.
And then when I finally was like, all right, you know what? I think I'll go for it. I go to their site and they're out of stock.
No, you know
I'm
what's
like,
funny though? I actually almost used it recently, the head and the hat, for different combos I was working on, but I think I almost used the hat for my Tarkov fig, but
oh, that would
never
have been
did.
pretty cool.
Could have happened, could have happened.
Could have happened.
Anyways,
It wasn't meant to be.
I don't know if I'm going crazy, and I haven't, like, compared the wood grain on the SKSs to their other ones in the past, but these ones, like, are really popping. These are ones are really nice.
Yeah, they look really good. I have personally strayed away from the perfect caliber wood grain because I don't know, I kind of prefer just like the flat brown of like
Mm,
an overmolded,
sure.
but they look so good. Like
And
I've been getting tempted lately, dude.
they're teasing you. It also seems like they got the wrapping all the way around now on the top too, which is impressive, so,
Yeah, it looks like the top of the SKS handguard is printed too, so that's actually big deal.
yeah. The wood pattern on that one was looking a lot nicer than, stuff I've seen in the past, so
It's pretty crispy.
big shout out to Brickmania.
Shout
Alright,
out to Lando.
even huger shout out to Lando. Big friend of the pod.
Massive.
Um, we always be putting our legs on wrong on these minifigures.
Oh god, that was so cursed, dude. I can't. Oh, it brings me physical pain to look at those pictures he sends.
They were so good, dude.
They're hilarious,
That was
but oh
actually
my
one of the
god.
better ones I've seen, and to be Jack Stone height is I like that it's kept canon, you know what I mean?
That was actually it was pretty cool. I was kind of impressed. Usually they just look absolutely cursed, but that one actually it had a bit of finesse to it.
I'm rocking with the plagues. I'm rocking with the plague.
Billy will now only be a plague poster
I should actually make like a legit, like a dedicated post, like like a figure like I'm actually trying to go hard on and just have
and
plague.
just full on plagues. Jack Stone height figure.
All right. Next up here, Will's been teasing on his story a couple of products actually, but we're gonna talk about the FP45 Liberator, the cute little pistol. How you feeling about this one?
Dude, it is pretty cute. It's so it's so fucking tiny. I don't know. I feel like I have to cop it almost just because of how like tiny it is. Like I don't have a figure that I would use it with. Like I don't have an actual use for it, but you know, I'm kind of thinking about it just
So
because it might be nice to just see in the box of brick arms from time to time. Just be like, oh, that
yeah,
thing's cute.
yeah. As long as it's not $3. But
That's right. Yeah, if it's $3, entirely off the table. Sorry, Will,
um
but
I actually have a mod idea for this, and I'm actually very excited for it.
a
For
word.
a long time now, I've wanted to paint up brick arms in like the Nerf color scheme,
Oh my god.
and it looks exactly like the Nerf Jolt.
Yes, I know exactly what
Um,
you're talking about.
so I need to get one of these. The main issue is the black handle, so I'm gonna try and see if they come up in Workshop Wonders, and that'll for sure stay on the site. You know, nobody's buying that.
Nobody's buying the bright orange
Should
or
be
bright
should be
bright
secure.
blue
Um,
Liberator.
but dude, definitely need that. And then I can make like the pulley, the whatchamacallit, the cocking mechanism on the bottom, the little T that you pull down.
Yes, I
Dude,
know
I'm
exactly.
really excited for this mod. It'll
I can't
happen.
wait to
It'll
see
happen.
the Nerf or Nothing figure.
Dude, it could just be like that, that'd actually go hard. I should just make it like a dedicated. It's just like a kid in like LARPing around with his Nerf
Dude,
guns.
you should go for it. I'm entirely in favor of this.
This is a great idea. Thank you for helping me workshop this because now we're onto something.
Oh, we're definitely onto something here.
All right,
But yeah, I'd say overall it's a cop.
totally. You can't not cop a brick arms gun. Come on. You know?
Yeah, come on.
Last batch up here. We're talking two figures. Squid Games released from Citizen Brick after a long time of teasing. Finally
Definitely.
released. Fad was so 2021. Can't believe he's posting.
It is so last year. Come on, Joe.
But yeah. How you feeling about these?
So I initially was like entirely on board. I literally had them both in my cart when they
Hmm.
came out. But the main thing, they ended up kind of being a drop for me, just because I try whenever I buy new parts to try to buy stuff that is going to be versatile. Like I can
Right.
use it on a lot of things. And really, it just didn't really tick that box for me. And I don't know. I'm not like I don't like to collect stuff from like every single IP or show or whatever that I've ever enjoyed. So I didn't really want them just to be the Squid Games figures.
Hmm.
And I didn't feel like the jumpsuit legs, you know, and I don't know. I just didn't think I'd get enough usage out of it for it to be worth buying. But I did see that magenta fig that you
I'm I'm
slyly sent in the
shh,
chat. Mm,
I'm cooking up.
sealed
We're
lips.
chefing. We're chefing up in the lab.
Yeah, that made me have some drop regrets, honestly.
Yeah.
One thing I am excited for though is if misprints of either of these
Oh.
happen to be out
Oh,
for
dude.
CB Day, especially like the tracksuit,
Dude, crazy.
yeah, that would be amazing.
What's gonna be unfortunate though is that the resale is gonna be stupid on them too because
I
everyone's gonna
know
want that.
it's gonna be absolutely dummy.
But yeah, I got a little bit of deja vu from your story. I was out and I had like a reminder set and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll just check it." I saw there was like a 500 quantity of each figure. I'm like, "Ain't no way this is selling out. I'll just wait. I'll chill. It's all good. I'll get these later tonight, when can settle down." Literally under 30 minutes, the worker was gone. So I was like, "All right, that's cool. That's great." Big shout out to Dash. He hooked me up with one. So all I got from that drop was the worker. Um, I'm glad I did though. I'm glad I did end up getting it. The jumpsuit's just really really clean. I think I'm a slut for jumpsuits just in general.
Dude, they're
Um,
too good.
and the legs are actually really premium. What you can't see is there's like a side pocket printed too,
Oh,
which is really nice.
see, now you're
Um,
making me have even more
yeah.
regrets.
But yeah, I had to make a combo out of it, trying my best. It'll be something. I'll post it in 6 months probably. It'll be good.
Yeah, we'll see it
It'll
in
be fresh then.
several years after everyone's forgotten the Squid Game figs existed. Billy will
Yep.
bring them
Oh my
back.
god, is that the pants from the octopus man? It's like,
Oh
yeah,
my
that's
god,
it.
that's my favorite seafood themed show. Yeah, we
That's
really
enough,
out
Gideon.
here.
That's
We
enough.
really out
That's
here with
enough.
the. Somebody had to stop me. But
Anyways,
yeah, those were they were a bit of a drop, but that's okay. You know,
yo,
can't get them all.
uh, damn right. And we're here. We're at the end. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's a good time. I'm thankful to have been on the pod. I gotta say.
Well, I'm thankful you came on the pod.
Hell yeah.
It's been good getting to chat with you. You're a homie for sure. Any last things you want to leave the listeners with?
Mm. If you haven't started already, don't start doing decaled figure commissions because
Mm,
you're just gonna start disliking decaling.
this is very real. This is very
Also,
real.
I need people to stop just making AR pattern rifle mods over and over again.
Hey, hey,
I gotta see some creativity out here.
hey. Oh my god, I dropped my mic. Whoops.
Getting on that AK trend.
Yo,
So yeah,
I-
people
I'm
stay
disappointed.
creative.
I'm disappointed I waited too long to get on the AK trend. Well, to start posting on the AK trend. I'd been gathering inspiration for a long time, and then Alex cemented himself as the AK king,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's unfortunate because I must dethrone him now.
I
Um,
know. You have to. You have to stage a coup.
it's too bad. He enjoyed his spotlight for a little bit. The sad part is my best AK mods haven't even been posted yet. People don't know that I actually hold the crown right now, um, but I do.
They don't
And
know that you're just
Alex
you're
is in
you're
denial.
controlling it all from the shadows.
This is so
Alex
true.
doesn't even know what's coming.
Now, oh, I've confronted him about this. I've told him that he will be dethroned, and he's in denial currently, but things will come around. He'll see the light.
There's probably nothing you can do about it.
It's too late now. It is sincerely too late.
Things are already in motion that cannot be
My
unmotion.
plans are bigger than his comprehension.
Yeah, my enjoyment of AK mods has been definitely through the roof lately, especially
Yeah.
with that snakeskin AKM
Yes,
from the Eclipse Strike Wave.
dude.
Oh my god.
Was
Like
not
I
expecting it to be so good.
it's just so good. That's one of my favorite mods that I've made. It's just like yours was really sweet on that one too. The other ones, I wasn't like they're really cool, but I didn't cop all of the colors just because I didn't see myself using them all. Like
Mhm.
I didn't know if they were versatile enough, but I might have to go back because I was really impressed with how good the snakeskin one was.
Yeah,
Like I
dude.
feel like there's some ideas I gotta explore.
Yeah, absolutely. But AK wave is huge. I can't get enough of seeing everyone mod up some AKs. But little PSA, if you post an AK and you cut it straight down the handguard and you don't leave the front trunnion, you are a loser. I'm sorry to say it like that, but the AK game, it's got a steep curve. You're either
See,
you're either a big dog or you're not.
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? You're
Now
either a Mata or
you ain't.
it's what happens. It's the hard facts of life.
The funniest thing about that to me is that two of the recent AK or AK based mods I posted recently are actually cut that way, but it's accurate.
But my accuracy.
My accuracy, yeah, not for real though. The Saiga and the Finnish version of the AK,
Yep,
they have the trunnion different, so it doesn't stick out in the front like that.
this is passable.
I I am a little bit. I gotta say, I like gun accuracy. Fig accuracy, I don't care.
Mm,
I don't care about historical accuracy of your figure. I don't care. Like, I think it's cool that some people are really dedicated to it. I've been thankful enough that nobody comes in my comments really and is like, "Oh, this isn't accurate. Actually, this 2000s U.S. soldier shouldn't have that camo pattern." Um, Thankfully, I don't really get those, but to each their own, I guess. I like the mods being accurate if they're based on something.
Yeah, no, that actually is a great differentiation because like I like to say I don't care about accuracy, but I know I do for the guns. At least now I do. I had like an
Yeah.
eye-opening moment, and it was funny enough on the AK platform. I made a mod way back, and the handguard mod I made um, didn't account for the gas tube, and so Clue redacted was like,
Yes.
Billy, that what the hell is this? What are you doing? What are you doing? This is entirely inaccurate. You should feel bad. And I did feel bad, and now it's been like a very conscious decision ever since then to actually make them a functioning gun, even though they will never fire.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel that.
it's
I
important.
definitely do the same thing. It's just like I didn't really know a whole lot about how firearms actually functioned until like the last 2 years or so. I just
Hmm.
became more interested in it and I learned about it. And now if I can't make a mod that won't function, I
Yeah,
just can't let myself
it's
do it.
actually made it a lot more exciting having the knowledge.
Yeah.
Like I made a carbine mod, which I don't think I posted. I don't even know, dude. Hold on.
You never
No,
know.
I have still not posted this mod. I was so juiced about the mod too, but I made it, and it's like a short handguard. It's like a 16-inch barrel, but short handguard and like short gas
Oh,
system,
that's
like a
cool.
carbine length gas system. And I was like, just as I was building, I was like, yeah. And it's so 16-inch barrel, but the carbine length gas system, and it's
And
got
this is gonna
this,
be
and it's the,
sick.
and I was like going through the technicals. I'm like, yeah, this is accurate, but it's different. And I haven't seen actually any mod. I'll send you it. I'll send you a
Yeah.
pic. I'll probably put it in the wrap up too.
Hell yeah.
Um, it's been on my desk for probably close to 5 months now.
Oh, dude. Big big fan of the functioning brick arms accuracy.
Yes.
Big one for me is okay, I've been planning on doing a Galil Ace mod
Oh,
for quite some
please.
time now.
Please.
I've been scheming and plotting on how I want to do it. I think I have a pretty good idea of it. So you'll have to see. You guys will have to wait and see what I come out
I
with
am
for that.
excited for
But
that.
I've decided I'm gonna try to base it on the TAC FAL instead of the AK because it's got that
Interesting.
giant ass
Interesting.
charging handle on the left
Yeah,
side,
yeah.
which is like that's how the actual thing looks. So I'm like, all right, we'll see if we can make this work. Hopefully it ends up recognizable.
I'm with it. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
And if you're excited to see it too, go follow him. It's angry_stash on Instagram. He's the homie. Thank you for being on, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Thanks again for coming on the podcast, Gideon. It was great getting to talk with you for the first time. Thank you all for listening to this episode. I really hope you enjoyed. But that's all. It was great having you. If you enjoyed, please share it with a friend. If not, I guess don't share it with a friend. But make sure to give us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Peace.